Hello, everyone. This is Jilcy Sanchez. I will be your host today on Biz Talk. Today, we have an awesome guest, and he's back for the second time around. His name is John Mitchell. So thank you so much, John, for joining us once again.
Jilcy, thanks very much for having me. I'm very excited to be here, and I'm very excited to bring some good information to the audience out there.
Yes, and do we have a treat for you? But I want to tell you a little more about John. He's been working in the tax field science since 1990. He holds a Master of Science in Taxation and holds both a law license and an enrolled agent license. John is a member of the National Association of Enrolled Agents, NAEA, and the National Association of Tax Professionals, NATP. John is on the board of directors of the Texas Society of Enrolled Agents and the Greater Houston chapter of TXC. John is a recognized expert in the field of taxation, being a fellow of the National Tax Practice Institute, as well as being a public speaker on tax matters and having featured articles published in national tax trade publications. So, today's topic that we are going to hit today, John, this is very exciting because he was telling me that this is something he does every day, and it's negotiating with the IRS. I don't know if you know how to negotiate with the IRS, but definitely John is an expert. So jumping into topic, how can I negotiate with the IRS if I owe back taxes or have a tax dispute?
Well, the first thing to remember is you're not going to jail, probably, most likely.
I was concerned about that.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people are very scared, and rightfully so. The IRS is a very powerful agency. They can do a lot, and even short of going to jail, you don't want to face that wrath. So the first thing I would say is, if you have any kind of idea that you have a tax problem, jump right on it, because the sooner you get to it, the better. And we negotiate with the IRS all the time. I do this every day. And you know, the thing about it is the IRS wants to get paid. Mm-hmm. And in fact, the revenue officers, their mandate is to get as much money as possible as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
But life happens. And so there comes a time when you can't pay, or you can't pay at all right now. Mm-hmm. And that's when we jump in as professionals. And, I'll tell you something funny. A client once said to me, "Man, the IRS must hate you." And I said, well, I understand why you would say that, but actually no, because the IRS appreciates having somebody on the other side of the table that knows the rules and knows what's going on, and can kind of make it quicker and easier for them to get to the resolution that they want. So they want to get paid. You want to, do what's right, pay your taxes, and get all caught up. And so that's what we do. We help you walk through that entire process.
That sounds awesome. And what are the options that are available for setting tax debt, such as offer in compromise or installment agreements and things like that?
Mm-hmm, yeah. Installment agreement is basically you owe the IRS an amount of money. You can't pay them right now, so we set up a payment plan whereby you can pay them in monthly installments, right? And there's a couple of ways that can happen. The main thing is the IRS would prefer if you can just pay the tax debt within the statute of limitations, because a lot of people know this. They don't know exactly how it works, but eventually tax debts do fall off the system, right? They eventually become unable to be enforced by the IRS. And so they want to get it all paid before then. And usually what they want you to do is pay as much as you comfortably can pay. And we would do a financial statement for them, income and assets versus debts, liabilities, and inflow versus outflow, and figure out along with the IRS how much money can you afford to pay per month. So that's an installment agreement. Mm-hmm. Offering compromises, I owe you $100,000, I'm going to pay you 10. Right, so that's what they call compromise, right? So, and there, it's not as easy as pennies on the dollar, like they make it sound on the radio. But those situations do work. In fact, I've paid less than a penny on the dollar for in some cases, right? So it all depends on the facts and circumstances. If you have not enough assets and not enough income to pay, you'd be a candidate for an offer and compromise. And then there's one other that a lot of people don't mention, but there's currently not collectible status. And that's where you tell the IRS basically, hey, I know I owe you money, it's the correct amount, I'm not fighting that, I don't have money, and I don't know when I'm gonna have money. It might be that I have money later. Typically that would be people that are in the hospital, you know, and so the IRS will agree to a 6-month or 12-month period or whatever. They'll just put the pause button on collecting, and you're in a non-collectible status, they call it. So those are the big three.
Okay, and you know, when if there's anything particular that I need to do before I enter a negotiation with the IRS, any paperwork or any statements that I need to gather?
Yeah, the two big things, if you're going to make any kind of arrangement with the IRS, the two big things are, number one, you have to be in current compliance. What does current compliance mean? That means as of today, all the tax returns that you are supposed to have filed are filed, and all the current payments that you need to be making are up to date. You can have balances due, and you do have balances due by, you know, if you're in this situation, but let's say you're supposed to be making quarterly, every 3-month tax payments. Did you make the most recent payment? Right? So you got to be currently in compliance, because they want to see a breaking point. They want to see the problems are in the past, and from this point forward, I'm going to, you know, do it right. So that's the number one thing. Number two thing, in order to justify either an installment agreement or an offer in compromise, you're going to have to demonstrate to the IRS that you don't have money to pay them in full today. So, you know, we do a financial statement. So if you're in that situation, the thing I would recommend is make sure you're in compliance, and I can help with that. And also make sure that you gather up financial type documents. Typically they ask for the last, let's say, 6 months worth of bank statements, and they'll ask for you know, your bills, mortgage, rent, whatever, utilities. And so we fill out a financial statement, what you got coming in, what you got going out, and go from there. And we have to back that up with documentation. So, you know, very important to get all your documentation in order.
I'm assuming that they need to figure out, is this something that is circumstantial, that can get fixed later, or this is something that you're just going to do. You're just going to owe money forever and ever and ever, and that is the advantage of having you as a person that can be, you know, advising and consulting on matters like this.
Right, and make the proper argument to, you know, to the IRS. I'll tell you one story. I had a home health company. And the owner of the company was in her 70s, a very elderly lady, and she didn't get some paperwork filed, and ended up, there were about 800 nurses, a pretty big size company, nurses and nursing aides and stuff. They sent out to sick people's homes to take care of them. And the lady didn't get the paperwork filed, and there was a couple of $1 million worth of penalties. And so what we ended up doing, the lady got cancer and unfortunately passed away. And so now there's this company, and the court ordered a kind of caretaker type person to watch over the business. And basically what I did is I went to the IRS. I said, yes, this paperwork didn't get filed. These penalties are probably you know, able to be asserted, but here are the facts and circumstances. The lady was very elderly, got cancer, she didn't know the paperwork was not in order, and so I was able to make the proper arguments and tell them, look, are you going to leave all these, are you IRS going to leave all these sick people without care, and are you going to cost all these jobs, because these penalties are so high, they're going to put this company out of business.
Yeah. Good job, John.
Well, thank you.
Well, in any case, make sure you call John if you have any questions, or if you have some concerns about your taxes, and if you owe taxes, definitely give him a call. His information, I want to ask you, how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, I am in Houston, Texas, Greenway Plaza. Of course, we have clients all over United States and even in foreign countries. I have clients in Mexico City and Guadalajara. But I can be reached by telephone, 713-333-0555. And I can also be reached by email, jmitchell@cctaxlaw.com.
Well, thank you so much, John, for visiting. I hope you come back soon. I had 1 million questions to ask, but unfortunately, we do not have time. But we'll see you soon, and do not go away. We'll be right back on BizTalk.